Hey pals, and welcome back to a very special vlog. I feel like I've said that a lot recently, but maybe I haven't. Maybe it's all in my mind because I feel like I've rehearsed this so many times, but I haven't. It's just taken me so long to finally film this video, but it is me talking about my experience in Bulgaria. So I'm just gonna give you the rundown of how this is gonna go because there's kind of a lot of whatever going into it. So I'm gonna split this video up into two parts. The first one is going to be the first 2 weeks of my trip, and the second one is going to be the last 2 weeks of my trip. The reason it took me so long is because I was trying to figure out how to best put this out there, because I have such random footage, some just like little clips, some on my phone that's not good quality, and then some of me like speaking and recapping what happened that day or week. So I just thought it'd be best for me to just sit down and read from my journal, since I wrote what we did every single day, and just kind of go through it and then overlay those videos as I'm talking, if that makes sense. So I tried to condense my notes. Some is on a napkin, that's okay, but let's go ahead and get into it because I have no idea how long this video is going to take. Bulgaria. It was an amazing experience. First of all, I just want to say that the things I'm about to talk about and the things you're gonna see, I will talk more about ministry. You'll see less ministry because obviously it's awkward if you're going into a situation where you're going into a church service or you're doing street evangelism. You don't want to just shove a camera in a stranger's face that you're trying to like evangelize to, or you're trying to talk about Jesus, or you're trying to preach, you know, like if I'm up on stage like everybody say hi, like it's kind of just an awkward thing. So a lot of what we did I didn't capture on video. I got more of us just like walking around or our free days. So I just want to preface with that. But Bulgaria was an amazing experience. This trip we just kind of did everything. We did house visits, we did street evangelism, we did, well, okay, I'm gonna get into it, so I guess we'll just have to hold off for a second. So the first week, days 1 through 6, I have all my bullet points that we played Jungle Speed. It's a super fun game that we had never played before. I don't think anyone on my team had played before, but the very first day that we were there, we played Jungle Speed for hours with our contacts because we were pretty exhausted from our traveling, so they wanted us to get like just used to being there, so we just kind of stayed at the house. Oh, I should also say we stayed at our contact's house, which was super nice of them. It was actually their parents' house, and the parents were in the US, so it worked out perfectly that we just kind of swapped places. So we got to stay in the house, all 8 of us together with our contacts, so it's 10 of us, and that just made for such a fun time. They even told us, they're like, we can go stay at our apartment because it was their parents' house, and we were like, no, we love having you here, as long as, like, I mean, if you guys want to go to your apartment, that's fine, but we loved having them there. So they stayed with us the whole time, and it was just like a happy family, like living in a house. It was super fun. Anyway, so we played Jungle Speed a lot that day. We ate traditional Bulgarian food, so they have this food. I wish I could remember the name. I want to say it's sirene, but that might not be right. That might be a different food. I'm sorry if you're Bulgarian and you're just like, Bailey, you know nothing. I'm very sorry. It's been a couple months, but I'm trying my best. So we ate this traditional food. It's like really thin layer of bread with cheese, thin layer of bread, cheese. It's kind of like a pastry, like it's kind of crisp, if that makes sense, and like flaky, but it's so good. So we had that and we were like, okay, we love Bulgaria already. And then they gave us this drink. I don't remember the drink name at all, and apparently if you're a foreigner, Bulgarians like to do this to foreigners and give them this drink. And this drink, it looks like chocolate milk. It is very deceiving, but when you drink it, to me it tasted kind of like stale cereal. Like if you were to drink stale cereal, that's what it tasted like to me. So it wasn't the best thing I'd ever had, but it definitely was not the worst. Oh, also something very noteworthy is there was this dog that was at the house we stayed at. This massive dog. If I have a picture, I will insert it here. His name is Royce. He is so cute. He was also a puppy, but he was so big, and he loved Nicole, my ATL. He loved her. He would always jump on her. It was so funny. So he made the whole month just so fun. Oh, one thing that I really loved during this first week is the second day, I'm pretty sure, is our contacts. We were just getting to know them, and the husband was like super outgoing pretty much, but Paulina, okay, so their names are George and Paulina, and Polly was, I feel like she had to warm up to us a little bit, and she was like she was an amazing person. She was so hospitable and stuff, and so anytime that she would like interact with us or like ask us questions or want to play a game with us, like I was just like, oh yes, she likes us. So the second night I was like so excited because she asked us if we wanted to watch her engagement video and their wedding video. So we watched both of those and they are phenomenal. Her wedding video is insane, and the song that they played like over the video, because okay, one of my dreams in life is to do like wedding filmography because I think it's so cool. And so getting to watch that, I was like, oh, I need to meet the person that made this video, and the song was just so perfect with it. So that was so exciting, and I was just like so thankful that she was like inviting us into her life just to like show us that part of who they are, and it kind of explained like their story of how they fell in love and stuff. So that was super sweet. Also in the first week we went to an orphanage, which was about, I want to say like an hour away, and we cleaned like kids toys because it was for children, like really young children. I want to say at least 4 and under, but the ones that we saw were like pretty much babies, like 2 and under. So we cleaned all of the toys outside. We painted a room inside completely white. We did some yard work, and we got to see the babies. They were so cute. Oh, I wanted to go and take them on a walk because they went and took them on a walk, and I was like, can I go too? But I knew we needed to do some work. So yeah, it was super fun. And then in the main church, we cleaned in there. We did a lot of cleaning in the main church, and we also led worship, which is so funny because so before you go on a mission trip with my school, you have to fill out this skills survey. And so I'm sure that like everyone on my team like said we can't play instruments and we don't sing, because none of us can besides Steven. He could play drums. And then all of us just kind of, I mean, we sing for fun all the time, but none of us like sing seriously except for maybe one guy. So like none of us had led worship before. So it was just really funny that they were like, we really want you to do the offering song, and we were like, okay. So it's just so funny because we practiced like the night or two before, and I was just like, oh, here we go, like I'm gonna be so embarrassed. But it was a really fun time, and I actually think we sounded like alright, like it didn't sound bad. So I think that was the Holy Spirit, honestly. And in the first week we also got to go see the mountain, and it was so beautiful. So Bulgaria is basically surrounded by mountains, and it makes for incredible drives. I'm like, why can I not live next to a mountain? So it's just so beautiful. So we got to go there, and we just went a little bit. We didn't have to hike up it. We just went a little bit out, and we could see everything. And me and Nicole, we just took turns like talking about stories that we made up, and they were so ridiculous, but we went so in depth and told them for so long. And yeah, it was so fun. And then in the first week we also got to go to the Gypsy church, or Roma church. So Bulgaria, they call them Roma people. In the States, I guess we call them gypsies. But we went to this church, which was definitely in my top 5 of things that we did, because I just loved it. And so what we did is we got to go hang out with some kids that were like 12 and under, basically. And we taught them some English. We loved on them. Polly shared a story like about how God loves you, I think. And then at the night service, it was like the normal church congregation, so all ages, and someone preached, and I got to give a healing testimony. And then at the end we prayed for everyone, and so we would just ask if they wanted to come up to the front or we could go to them. And so I got to pray for someone who had pain in their hand, someone that had a fever, for people to have a strong marriage. And then I said ... then dancing. And we danced to this church, and I remember being so nervous because like I don't want to offend anyone and like dance inappropriately, like dance how we dance in the States. If that makes sense, like, you know, whipping and nay-naying, just like cat dadding, stuff like that. So I just was like, yeah. And then an older man, he like made me dance with him, which was really fun. Later on in the week we had the main church service where I think we just prayed for people at the end. That's what I have down right here. And so I got to pray for a woman wanting more of Jesus, for family reconciliation and freedom from fear and worry. I thought it was so cool. It will be a common theme as I keep talking, but just like the hunger that people had for prayer. Like they just were like, yes, like Jesus can do this, like he can, so pray for me. Like they just had so much willingness, and they wanted it so bad. And there was definitely like a theme of people wanting family reconciliation, strong marriage, and for their future kids. That happened a lot, and definitely healing too. But those are the main like 3 or 4 things that I noticed with a lot of people while we were there in that month. So I just feel like that was so just like interesting and cool to see like what the people of Bulgaria like really are hungering for. Also, I have down that we went to this Chinese restaurant, which is really ironic and funny, but while we were in Bulgaria, we went to this Chinese restaurant probably at least 6 times. Same one. We also played ping pong. Okay, so I said this, a girl on my team was from Bulgaria, so I was just joking around with her saying like, everyone in Bulgaria can play ping pong, because like there was a ping pong table in the church that we partnered with, and so pretty much every time after service we would all hang out and play games and people would play ping pong. So Bulgarians, at least the Bulgarians I met, super good at ping pong. Like I didn't even want to go against any of them because I knew that they would smoke me. So in the second week while we were there, we spent a lot of time in the gypsy villages just around Bulgaria, and we got to go to multiple gypsy churches, and we did house visits where the pastor we were partnered with in that village would just take us to these different homes that the people had invited us in, and they we just talked with them and asked them what they did, how many kids they had, if they wanted prayer for anything. Just kind of got to know them and then prayed for them. And it was a really cool experience, and I feel like my team learned a lot through this. I had done house visits before, so it was like this whole trip was super cool to see like the people who had never gone on missions just experience these things for the first time, and how like touched and moved they were, because I was like, I remember how I was the first time I did a house visit and all these things. So it's cool for me to be like experiencing these things and also seeing other people experience them for the first time. So it's just super cool. And so there's this thing called a Kodak moment, and on past mission trips our leaders have asked us at the end kind of like what is your Kodak moment. So basically like a Kodak camera, it's like you take a picture and it's picture perfect. So on mission trips we would say like it doesn't have to be anything like super spiritual or super powerful, but just like something that was like picture perfect to you in that moment. And so I had 3 on this trip. My first Kodak moment I'm going to talk about is during this house visit. It was our very last house visit. We were in this lady's home, and she was probably in her 60s, I think. Her husband had passed away, and she wasn't really speaking to her family. She really wanted to be speaking to her children and her grandchildren, but they were just angry with her for some reason, so there was that separation, and she felt very isolated and alone. And it just kind of reminded me how when my grandma was alive, how important it was that we went and spent time with her, just to make her laugh and to bring a smile to her face and keep her company, because she was living by herself and her husband had passed away. So it was just so important we went and spent time with her. And so when I was with this lady, it just reminded me a lot of my grandma and how important that was. And by the end of the time that we spent with her, she was laughing and she was smiling, and she was so grateful that we were there. And even though she didn't understand why she was in the circumstance that she was still just like content and happy we were there. And so that was just kind of a Kodak moment with me. Like I wasn't even the one talking to her in that moment when I had like a Kodak moment. I was just sitting there observing her and like realizing that that's why I was sent there, is for that one lady, so I could spend time with her and that she would feel just like loved and cherished and happy. So that was just like a really cool moment, and I'm so grateful like that Jesus was like, this is why you're here. So some other things we did, we went to another gypsy village and I got to pray for a woman's leg, or her legs, and they were healed, which is so awesome. Praise Jesus. And then I prayed for people's current and future children. I also have down that we ate at KFC, Kentucky Fried Chicken, all the way in Bulgaria. Oh, and that's, I forgot about this. But we were, so in Bulgaria, oftentimes, if you're in like kind of a chain restaurant or like fast food, you have to order something to get this code to get in the bathroom. I think that's how it is in a lot of European countries, because it was like that in Italy, some places. And so in KFC we went and got the code, and so we were in the bathroom, and then I think that I'm pretty sure the women's bathroom, it was just not working. or it was occupied, one of the two. So anyway, I went into the men's restroom, and don't judge me because y'all know you've done it or you know people that have. And so I went in there, and then I left, and another girl on my team was in there, and this guy, this Bulgarian guy, he comes over and he's like wanting to go in there, and I was like, no, there's a girl in there, and I was trying to like explain it to him, and he was like, oh, and then like left and came back later, and it was just so funny. And then I was like, I protected you, don't worry. Like, it was so funny. So some other things we did in the second week, we did street evangelism, which is where I had my silly moment. So I really tried to learn Bulgarian before I even stepped foot in Bulgaria, and so I got this app on my phone, and I learned some basic words, like I knew how to say hello, how are you. But while I was there, I wanted to continue in learning stuff so that I could talk more with the Bulgarian people that didn't know any English. So during street evangelism, basically what we were doing is we had these little pamphlets and like little books, and so we would just go and we stayed at this kind of like busy intersection where there was not a train but like a tram, and then there was like a subway, and so a lot of people were going and a lot of people didn't want to talk to us, but so it was really good that we had those things to just pass out so they could take it and keep walking. And so I had learned, well, I thought I had learned Jesus loves you, but instead I was, okay, so basically, hopefully I remember this, but to say Jesus loves you is Isus te obicha, and I was saying Isus te obicham, and I think, or vice versa, one of the two. And so what I was saying as I was passing out the pamphlets was I love Jesus instead of Jesus loves you. So I was so excited. Our team had like split up into two, and so the girl that was from Bulgaria, whenever we saw her again, I was just like, guess what I was saying to everyone? She was like, you were saying that you love Jesus, and I was like, oh no, like, and then I thought, like, I just laughed at myself and thought, well, at least all of Bulgaria knows that I love Jesus. So then we did a night service is what I have written down. We did a lot of night services where we would preach and then pray for people. And then this was super fun. So in Bulgaria, they have the National Alphabet Day where like everyone's off from school, everyone's off from work, and they have this huge parade, and the president was there, and we got to like walk in the parade with the president. Like, not in the parade, but we walked along with them. Like, it was super fun, something I've never experienced before. And it was just like such a fun time just seeing like how I love the 4th of July. I feel like if I lived in Bulgaria, the National Alphabet Day would be my jam. Like, I would be so hyped for it because they had people like dancing and playing instruments, and then they had this time where they like released the letters of the alphabet through, I think there were balloons and stuff like that. It was super cool and fun. And then we went to Jumbo, which is this amazing store, and we need one here in Oklahoma. It's like Toys R Us, but way better because they have so much more. It's like every kid's dream basically. They have all these different toys, all these different candies, and then they have like stuff for adults too, like chairs and umbrellas and just like random stuff like that. But it was so fun, and I went with just like half of my team. We went to go get supplies, and me and my contact George, and I think it might have been Nicole, we were just like goofing around and like playing basketball and like using the little race cars to do random stuff. We were definitely acting like kids. It was so fun. Then we got to go to this house in the mountains, and so like a lot of our trip too was just contact investment and like church investment. So the people of the church, we would go and spend a lot of time with them. So we went to this guy's house in the mountains, which was super cool, and we were so grateful that he was so hospitable and welcomed us in, and we just went and had dinner with him. And I think that's something that like it breeds community, is breaking bread with people, because you're just chilling, like your walls are down, you're eating food, you're having a good time, and you have good conversation. So that's a lot of what we did also. And so that was just a really fun experience. And at night we got to go up basically like on the roof of his house and see like all of Bulgaria at night, just like lit up. It was so cool. Then we went back to the original gypsy church we went to the first week, and the kids that we had hung out with, we got to throw them a celebration, or graduation I mean, because they were graduating from like VBS basically. And so that was super fun, and like it was just, the kids were just so sweet and so cute. They all just wanted to hug you and just like play with you. It's just so fun. And I remember the first week we went there, there was this boy, he was probably 11 or 12, and he didn't really want to do much, and we had noticed that his knee was all wrapped up and he wouldn't like walk normally because I guess he had injured himself. Well, when we did our graduation, he spent so much time with me. I was like, this is the kid that's too cool for school, but he's spending time with me. That means I'm too cool for school, right? Anyway, so he was spending time with me, and what we did is we had these balloons, and all we did, we tapped it back and forth to each other. And yeah, so he's trying to like play pranks on me and stuff too. It was super fun. And then eventually the kids figured out that they could pop the balloons, and they loved that, so they were popping balloons like crazy. But anyway, that was super fun. And then this is such a random thing that we did, but our contact drove us into this forest basically. And we get out of the car and she goes, okay, now you gotta go find the bells. And I was like, what? I was so confused. I was like, we're going to go find the bells. Are these bells like tied to a tree, or are they hidden in the ground? Are we in Narnia? Like, I was so confused. And she was like, I don't know, I've never been here, I've never done this either. And I was like, what are we doing here? But eventually we heard the bells. Like, that's what we did, is we just like listened. And we took a very long path to get there. We like crossed the highway and all this stuff, but anyway, we found these bells, and it's such a random thing, but all of these bells from all the different countries in the world. So it's super cool. You could go and like ring the bell. It's really fun, just like an adventurous thing. And then we also got to go to IKEA one day for lunch. They were like, what do you guys want to go eat? And then they mentioned going to IKEA, and I was like, it took me going to another country to go to IKEA for the very first time, and it was amazing. And we had little meatballs with weird sauce, but it tasted good. And then I watched a video about Five Nights at Freddy's because I have never seen it before. My team was like, you must be cultured, and I was like, okay. Anyway, that was just a little side note. And then we got to help like prepare for a high school graduation. So a couple in this church, their son was graduating from high school, and in Bulgaria, high school graduations are like a huge deal. They have like the graduate gets in a car and they go around and they honk the horn. I think that's it for the graduation. Yeah. Anyway, but so we got to help just like prepare food, prepare decorations in the church for this graduate. And then whenever they started throwing their party, we kind of snuck away because we didn't want to be very like intrusive, because he was having all of his friends and all of his family and stuff like that. So we just went upstairs in the sanctuary and started playing songs, and we danced like maniacs. Like, it was so funny. We were all so sweaty, but my TL, he like played the perfect songs that we were like, yes, I love this song, and just danced like crazy people. So that was super fun. And then we had American Bulgarian Day in the second week, where basically we prepared things that would be American. So we talked about like sites you would see, like Lady Liberty and DC and stuff like that, and just like random facts. Yeah. And then like one of my favorite things we ever, like, okay, I just love this whole trip, so I just keep saying that this is my favorite thing, but we got to learn Bulgarian dances, and that was so fun. That was one thing I really wanted to do while we were there. So I'm like so set on my wedding doing a Bulgarian or a Greek dance, because we learned one Greek dance and it was super fun. But I was just like, it was just so fun, and like, oh, it was just more than I could have imagined. Oh, I forgot, at this church service, so we had church before, and then we had American Bulgarian Day like a couple hours later after we had prepared everything. But earlier in church I got to give the offering, which was really cool because they are very passionate about the offering. They are big believers in if you plant seeds, you will harvest. And our contact, like anytime he'd give the offering, I was just like, take my money. Like, yes, Jesus. Like, he just says things so eloquently about offering that I've never heard before. So I wanted to do him justice, and we joked about a lot, like the days leading up before I gave the offering, that I was just gonna go up there and be like, give me all your money. But I obviously didn't do that, and I think it went really well, and it was really fun. And then, yeah, I have Bulgarian dances. This is the last thing, but I already talked about that. So that is the end of week 2. I hope you guys have enjoyed learning about Bulgaria a little bit and enjoyed seeing my experience. I hope you stay tuned for part 2 of this because it's only gonna get better. So yeah, until then, I hope you guys are having a great day, whatever day of the week it is, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, pals.